what we're going to be talking about, there are a ton of different renovation loan programs that are out there, whether you already own your home, you're trying to do a renovation, refinance renovation, or if you're trying to roll those renovations into your purchase. Every lender kind of has their own programs that are out there, so I'm just going to talk about the three main ones. What are going to be Fannie Mae Home Style, Freddie Mac Choice Renovation, and the FHA 203K. So we're going to kind of go through each program. I'm going to talk about pros and cons and some of the key features that kind of make each one a little different. But at the end, it really matters up to the person, and so you really want to talk to a licensed mortgage professional to kind of figure out which one fits you the best. All right, so why choose a renovation mortgage? So traditional mortgages do not usually allow you to cover your renovation costs. You can only purchase the house. So this kind of allows you to do one single financing solution for purchasing of the home, kind of rolling in some of those renovations. You don't have two separate loans, so it's just one monthly payment. And you kind of get to move into a house that you kind of get to make your own right from the start. Sometimes there are certain updates or repairs you can kind of go into. It really depends on the program that you're going to be using. And it just kind of helps you, so maybe you're kind of in a competitive market. Sometimes some of these less desirable homes that aren't so move-in don't have as much competition, so it does kind of give you a leg up to kind of get into a house a little bit sooner than you would normally. All right, so first we're going to start with the Fannie Mae Home Style Renovation Mortgage. So in mortgages, typically you're going to hear people talk about conventional and government loan programs. Conventional sticks with the Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac type of financing. Government loans are more like VA, FHA, USDA, follow government guidelines. With the Fannie Mae Home Style, again, it is for purchasing or refinancing a home with renovation funds included. This is allowed for primary residences, second homes, or if you have investment properties. You can use it for any three of those types of properties. The nice thing about Fannie Mae is it does allow for luxury improvements. So a lot of the programs don't allow for some of these, like swimming pools. You can put in high-end appliances, movie theaters, anything that would be kind of out of the ordinary for a normal renovation. Fannie Mae does allow for you to kind of roll those into your renovation costs. This one does have a little bit of a higher credit score minimum, which is 620. We do kind of recommend 680 and above. You're going to kind of want to stick with renovation or with Fannie Mae conventional financing, but it does allow down to 620. Also, down payments as low as 3% for first-time home buyers. So it's the same as your purchase mortgage, 5% otherwise if you're not a first-time home buyer. But the nice thing is that is also including your renovation and the purchase, so 3% of that total loan amount. The one big thing though about these renovation loans is you have to use a licensed contractor for these renovations. You are not allowed to do the work on your own. So even if you are a professional, you are required to use a licensed contractor for these renovations. Pros and cons of the Fannie Mae Home Style Renovation. Again, higher borrowing limits than we'll talk about the FHA 203K that we'll be talking about a little bit later. You can do a renovation, different variety of renovation types, including luxury updates, and the multiple property types between second home, primary, or investment properties. The cons, again, like we talked about, stricter credit, some income requirements. If you are going to have a below 20% loan to value after you do close on the purchase of the renovation, you are required to have what's called PMI or private mortgage insurance. Definitely talk to your lender about that if you do not know what private mortgage insurance is. And they are pretty stringent on contractor approval process. So they don't just let any contractor work. You actually have to kind of make sure that they're approved by the lender prior to starting that program. All right, so the next one is also conventional, but this one's through Freddie Mac. So it's called Choice Renovation Mortgage, similar to the home style, but it does include options for disaster resilience. So around here, really disaster resilience is probably just gonna be like flooding, things like that. But this one's really big, kind of in the coast, Florida's for hurricanes, wildfires, things like that. Freddie Mac does allow for you to kind of roll those renovations for resilience against disasters into that renovation. Fannie Mae and FHA 203K does not allow for you to do that. Again, this one is good for primary residences, second homes, and investment properties. And again, minimum 3% down for first-time home buyers, 5% otherwise. Also still requires you to have a licensed contractor for work approval. Pros and cons of the Choice Renovation. Again, like we just said, disaster release features, multiple different property types, and it does follow conventional mortgage financing. But just like the Fannie Mae, lender participation is limited. Credit income requirements may be strict, and you do require additional documentation if you are looking to do those disaster-related improvements. All right, so the last one we're going to talk about is FHA 203K. So this is a government loan program. which means that we do kind of have to follow government financing regulations. Does only allow for you to work with primary residences, so you can't do it with the secondary home or an investment property. There's two types of FHA 203K. You either do a standard or a limited. Limited is for like smaller things if you're trying to maybe update countertops or anything smaller than about $5,000. Outside of that, major renovations are gonna be standard. So those can cover anything up to adding a second floor onto your house. Kind of goes pretty extreme on the major renovations. The one sad part is you do have to work with a FHA kind of liaison if you're doing the standard to make sure that those major renovations fit in with the neighborhood that you're gonna be purchasing the property. Minimum 3.5% down payment for first-time home buyers or repeat buyers. More lenient on the credit score here though, so you can go down to 580 with the FHA 203K. The negative though is it doesn't matter what your loan value is, you are required to have private mortgage insurance as part of your payment, even if you have 50% loan value of the property. Pros and cons. So again, the nice part is lower credit score. The approval process for requirements is a lot more less stringent than they would be for conventional financing. Allows for huge structural repairs, major renovations, and it does have that low down payment of 3.5%. The cons again is that PMI that's gonna be on there even if you go past the 80% loan value. Also, it's only good for those primary residences, and there's a lot more paperwork, lender oversight, because it's the government. Key similarities among these programs, again, all borrowers that finance home renovations. Funds are included into one big mortgage rather than having two separate kind of monthly mortgage payments that you're gonna have. Available for purchases and refinances. And then again, just make sure lender approval on renovation plans and cost estimates are all prior to getting your loan approved. So typically, if you're gonna be purchasing a house with any of these programs, we do kind of say 45 to 60 days for your closing, just to give the lender time to approve all those renovations that you're gonna be doing. Again, this is just kind of a cute little slide just breaking down all the differences. Really the big one is just like looking at the down payments. But again, the big thing is talk to your lender, make sure that you talk to them about what you're trying to do, what your plans are for this kind of renovation program, and they can kind of point you in the direction that fits your situation best. Same thing that I just talked about, make sure you just talk to the right people, because every single thing, whether it's investment properties, second homes, depending on credit score, income, you just really want to make sure you talk to a licensed professional. All right, and then these are just some case studies we've done. First-time home buyer using 203K to renovate a fixer-upper, so kind of nice to kind of not have to compete with those turnkey properties. Home sale to do update and flip a property. So if you're an investor just kind of looking to purchase something, do some quick upgrades, sell it on the side and kind of make some quick profit. And then just like I said, flood prone area to use choice renovation for flood proofing of a home before closing. All right, and then just like I said, work with the licensed renovation loan. Ensure your contractor understands the loan requirements. That's a big thing though too. It's not all contractors are approved. There's a lot of extra paperwork. They usually have to be licensed. So depending on who your contractor is, make sure you check with your lender prior to starting the process to make sure that the contractor will be approved for the financing as well. All right, and then conclusion Q&A. So if you guys have any questions, I'll be around as well. But definitely big thing, just talk to a mortgage professional. All right, that's it, and that's myself.